Hormuz Island, Persian Gulf, 5 in the morning. 90 U.S. Marines from the 1st Marine Raider Battalion were cutting through the pre-dawn darkness aboard 5 combat rubber raiding craft and 3 rigid-hull inflatable boats, approaching the island's northern and western coastlines at maximum speed. Their objective was an Iranian naval intelligence base operating on the island's eastern slope, a sophisticated surveillance and analysis complex that had been tracking every Allied naval vessel, submarine, and aircraft operating across the entire Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman for 16 consecutive months. The facility processed real-time intelligence from a network of underwater hydrophone arrays, surface radar stations, and satellite downlink systems, feeding continuous tracking data directly to Iranian Naval Command in Bandar Abbas. Every Allied submarine transit through the strait, every carrier group movement, every special operations insertion by sea had been observed, catalogued, and transmitted to Iranian commanders who used this intelligence to position their forces and anticipate Allied responses. The facility had already compromised 3 covert Allied naval operations in the preceding 6 months. As long as it continued operating, Iran maintained an intelligence advantage that no amount of Allied countermeasures could overcome. If you want to see exactly how 90 Marines shut down the most dangerous naval intelligence operation in the Persian Gulf in under 30 minutes, subscribe now and hit the notification bell. Every second of this operation counted, and what you are about to watch is the most time-critical amphibious raid in recent special operations history. For 16 months, the National Security Agency and the Office of Naval Intelligence had been working to identify the source of repeated Allied operational security breaches in the Persian Gulf. 3 separate covert operations had been compromised within hours of launch, suggesting real-time surveillance capability that exceeded anything Iran was publicly known to possess. A joint NSA and ONI analytical team spent 4 months correlating signals, intercepts, satellite imagery, and underwater acoustic data before identifying Hormuz Island as the source. Satellite imagery revealed a cluster of low-profile structures on the island's eastern slope that had not been present in imagery taken 3 years prior. Signals analysis confirmed encrypted data transmissions from the island to Iranian naval headquarters occurring every 15 minutes around the clock. Underwater acoustic monitoring detected the presence of hydrophone array cables extending from the island's eastern coastline into the strait's deepest channel, precisely positioned to monitor submarine traffic. A covert reconnaissance submarine conducted 2 passes beneath the island's eastern approach, confirming the hydrophone network's extent and mapping the underwater cable runs. Human intelligence provided the critical final piece, confirming the presence of 45 naval intelligence analysts rotating onto the island every 30 days, supported by specialized signals processing equipment airlifted from Tehran under diplomatic cover. The facility's destruction had become the single highest intelligence priority in the Central Command area of operations. The Naval Intelligence Base occupied 2 levels built into the natural rock formation of the island's eastern slope, deliberately designed to appear from satellite imagery as a standard coastal radar installation. The upper level contained the primary intelligence processing center, A90, meter chamber housing the hydrophone array processing systems, radar data fusion workstations, satellite downlink equipment, and the analytical stations where 45 naval intelligence specialists worked in continuous shifts, correlating data from all collection systems simultaneously. The processing center fed its output through encrypted fiber optic links directly to Iranian naval headquarters, providing commanders with a real-time recognized maritime picture of the entire strait region. The upper level also contained the signals collection control room, where operators managed the underwater hydrophone network, directing array sensitivity and processing parameters to optimize detection of specific vessel signatures. The lower level housed the facility's communications infrastructure, the encrypted transmission systems that packaged and sent intelligence reports to the mainland, and the archive vault, where historical tracking data and vessel signature libraries were stored. This archive represented years of accumulated Allied naval intelligence, containing acoustic signatures of every Allied submarine operating in the region, behavioral patterns of carrier group movements, and detailed analysis of Allied naval operational procedures. 30 communications technicians and archive specialists maintained this level continuously. A single primary access tunnel connected both levels to the surface, emerging through a hardened entrance on the eastern slope. A secondary emergency exit provided egress from the lower level through a concealed opening on the southern face. Iranian defensive forces on the island had been organized specifically around the intelligence facility's security requirements. The garrison commander had prioritized concealment of the facility's existence over conventional defensive depth, keeping the visible military presence on the island deliberately minimal to avoid drawing attention. 30 IRGC Navy soldiers held a perimeter around the eastern slope facility entrance, using positions that appeared from a distance as standard coastal radar site security. 20 soldiers maintained the northern and western coastal watch positions covering the primary approach routes. 15 soldiers rotated interior security patrols between the two facility levels and the surface perimeter. 4 fast attack craft patrolled the surrounding waters, but unlike a conventional military installation, their patrol patterns were designed to appear routine rather than aggressive, maintaining the island's cover as a minor radar installation. The facility entrance was protected by a reinforced steel door, a secondary blast barrier, and a biometric access control system, requiring both electronic authorization and fingerprint verification from cleared personnel. American planners faced a constraint unlike any previous Hormuz Island operation. The 3-0 minute mission window was not a planning preference but an absolute operational necessity driven by two simultaneous factors. First, a scheduled Iranian naval logistics vessel was due to arrive at the island at 5:35 to rotate personnel, and its failure to receive the routine all-clear signal from the garrison would trigger an immediate alert to Bandar Abbas. Second, the facility's automated data destruction protocol would activate if the system detected any unauthorized access attempt lasting more than 28 minutes, permanently wiping the archive vault's contents before any intelligence extraction could be completed. The operation had to be initiated, completed, and extracted within 30 minutes from the moment first contact was made with the island's defenders. Every team, every breach, every phase of the operation had been drilled to the second during 5 days of rehearsals aboard the USS Bataan. 4 days before the mission, 90 Marines were organized into 4 teams, with assignments calibrated to the 3-0-2020 window. Raider team of 35 Marines would land on the northern coastline, neutralize the coastal watch positions, and assault the primary facility entrance on the eastern slope. Cobra team of 28 Marines would land on the western coastline simultaneously and drive across the island's interior to seal the eastern slope from any reinforcement or escape. Viper team of 18 Marines would approach underwater using closed-circuit rebreathers, targeting the hydrophone array cable connections on the eastern seafloor to physically sever Iran's underwater sensor network before the surface assault began. Command team of 9 Marines would establish a forward coordination post on the northern tip immediately after landing, managing timing, air support, and the intelligence extraction phase. 2 AH-1Z Viper attack helicopters would provide direct fire support. The USS Gravely, a guided missile destroyer operating 35 kilometers northwest, would provide electronic warfare support and stand by for naval gunfire if Iranian naval reinforcements sortied from Bandar Abbas ahead of schedule. At 3 that morning, the assault force departed from the USS Bataan operating 75 kilometers southwest of Hormuz Island. The combat rubber raiding craft and RHIBs pushed through the darkness at reduced speed initially, accelerating to full speed only after passing the Gravely's electronic warfare coverage boundary at 4:15, at which point the destroyer's jamming suite masked their radar and acoustic signatures from the island's monitoring systems. Viper team had departed 2 hours earlier in full rebreather diving equipment, approaching the eastern seafloor on a submerged transit route. By 4:40, Viper team was in position on the hydrophone array cable junction points 80 meters beneath the surface on the island's eastern approach. They waited in position, breathing recycled air in complete silence, for the surface assault to begin. The 4 Iranian fast attack craft presented a compressed timeline problem. With only 30 minutes of operational window, there was no time for an extended patrol neutralization sequence. The solution was simultaneity. At exactly 4:58, 2 minutes before the surface assault teams would hit the beach, the Gravely fired 4 naval gunshots in rapid succession, each round targeted on one of the 4 patrol craft using targeting data provided by Viper team's pre-insertion reconnaissance. All 4 fast attack craft were destroyed within 45 seconds. The explosions on the water were visible from the island's coastal watch positions, but before any defender could process what they were seeing, the surface assault was already underway. At 5 exactly, Raider Team and Cobra Team hit their landing points simultaneously. Raider Team stormed the northern beach as both AH-1Z Vipers swept in from the northwest, immediately engaging the northern and western coastal watch positions with precision rocket fire. The 20 soldiers at the coastal positions were caught completely unprepared, their attention drawn to the burning patrol craft on the water when the helicopter fire began. Raider Team's Marines hit the beach running, engaging the surviving coastal defenders before they could reach their heavy weapons. The northern coastal position was cleared in 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Raider Team turned immediately east and drove hard toward the facility entrance on the eastern slope, covering the 350 meters of rocky terrain at a sprint. Cobra Team landed on the western coast simultaneously, meeting no resistance at the waterline. The team pushed east across the island's central terrain at maximum speed, racing to seal the eastern slope before any facility personnel could attempt evacuation through the emergency southern exit. Command Team established their forward position on the northern tip immediately after landing, with the team leader monitoring all 4 teams' progress against the 3:0 clock in real time. At 5, simultaneously with the surface assault, Viper Team cut the hydrophone array cable connections on the seafloor. Each diver had been assigned specific cable junctions to sever using underwater cutting equipment. Within 90 seconds of the surface assault beginning, all 6 primary hydrophone array cable connections had been physically severed. Iran's underwater surveillance network in the strait went dark permanently at the moment the surface assault began. Raider Team reached the eastern slope facility entrance at 5:06, 6 minutes into the operation. 30 IRGC soldiers defending the perimeter around the entrance had heard the explosions from the patrol craft and the helicopter fire on the northern coast and were repositioning to meet the assault from the north. The 2 Viper helicopters shifted their fire to the facility perimeter as Raider Team closed the final distance. The helicopter fire disrupted the defenders' repositioning and prevented them from concentrating at the entrance. Raider Team hit the perimeter in a direct assault from the north, while Command Team directed the helicopters to continue suppressing defenders, attempting to maneuver around the flanks. The perimeter fight lasted 4 minutes. 22 defenders were neutralized and 8 surrendered. Raider Team reached the facility entrance blast door at 5:10, 10 minutes into the operation. 20 minutes remained. The biometric blast door required a different solution than any previous breach. Standard electronic bypass would not defeat the fingerprint verification component. The team had anticipated this. One of the 8 surrendered perimeter defenders was an IRGC security sergeant with facility access clearance. Under direct instruction from a Marine intelligence officer, the sergeant placed his hand on the biometric reader at 5:11. The door opened. Raider Team entered the primary access tunnel immediately. The access tunnel descended 60 meters at a steep angle before leveling into the upper processing level approach corridor. Interior security guards, 15 soldiers who had been on patrol between the 2 levels when the surface assault began, had concentrated in the tunnel and were defending the approach to the processing center entrance. The confined tunnel offered no flanking options. Raider Team's point element engaged the guards directly while 2 Marines moved through a ventilation service crawl space running parallel to the main tunnel, emerging 20 meters behind the defensive position. The tunnel fight lasted 3 minutes and 40 seconds. All 15 interior guards were neutralized. Raider Team entered the intelligence processing center at 5:16. 16 minutes into the operation, 14 minutes remained. The processing center was still fully operational. Screens displayed real-time maritime tracking data across the entire strait region. 45 naval intelligence analysts were present, alongside the signals collection control room operators. No additional guards remained inside the processing center itself. All analysts surrendered immediately when the Marines entered. Intelligence specialists moved instantly to the highest priority workstations, inserting pre-programmed data extraction drives that began pulling the processing center's active databases and current collection parameters automatically. Other intelligence personnel photographed the signals collection control room equipment and the hydrophone array processing systems. Demolition specialists began placing thermite charges on the primary processing equipment while the data extraction ran. At 5:20, Command Team directed a 10 Marine element down the internal stairwell toward the lower communications and archive level. 20 minutes into the operation, 10 minutes remained. The element reached the lower level to find 30 communications technicians who surrendered without resistance. The archive vault door was electronically sealed. The automatic data destruction protocol was visible on a monitoring screen near the vault entrance, showing a countdown timer that had begun running when the facility's sensors detected the loss of the hydrophone network connection at 5. The countdown showed 4 minutes and 30 seconds remaining when the Marines reached the vault door at 5:22. The team's technical specialist bypassed the vault's electronic lock in 2 minutes and 50 seconds, opening the vault at 5:24 with 1 minute and 40 seconds remaining on the destruction countdown. A Marine intelligence officer physically disconnected the destruction protocol terminal from the vault's power supply at 5:25, stopping the countdown with 50 seconds to spare. The archive vault was intact. Inside, years of accumulated Allied naval intelligence, including acoustic signature libraries, carrier group movement analyses, and submarine behavioral pattern databases, were stored on a comprehensive server array. Intelligence specialists began extracting server drives immediately, while demolition specialists placed incendiary charges on the server racks for post-extraction destruction. At 5:26, Command Team transmitted the evacuation order. 26 minutes into the operation, 4 minutes remained in the window. All Marines moved immediately toward the surface through the primary access tunnel, bringing 73 prisoners, including all 45 naval intelligence analysts, the signals collection specialists, the communications technicians, and the surrendered security personnel. Extracted server drives and intelligence materials were carried in sealed cases. 5 Marines had sustained minor wounds during the perimeter fight and tunnel engagement, all fully mobile. By 5:29, all 90 Marines, 73 prisoners, and all extracted materials were clear of the facility entrance and moving toward the northern coastline extraction points. 29 minutes into the operation, 1 minute remained. At 5:30, the demolition order was transmitted. Thermite charges ignited simultaneously across the upper processing center and lower communications level. Every intelligence workstation, every signals processing system, every hydrophone array control unit burned at temperatures that melted the equipment and fused the server infrastructure into unusable masses. Incendiary charges in the archive vault destroyed the remaining server racks after the drives had been extracted. The facility's communications transmission systems were obliterated by explosive charges that also severed the fiber optic links to the Iranian mainland. The eastern slope vented smoke through the facility entrance as the internal destruction ran. 4 MH-60S Nighthawk helicopters arrived over the northern coastline at 5:31, 1 minute after the demolition order, extracting all Marines and prisoners in 2 rapid lifts. The Viper helicopters covered the extraction from overhead. Viper teams surfaced on the northern coastline at 5:28 after completing their underwater egress from the severed hydrophone array positions, boarding the final extraction helicopter at 5:33. The last helicopter departed Hormuz Island at 5:33, 33 minutes from first contact to complete extraction, 3 minutes beyond the 30-minute window, but the Iranian logistics vessel approaching from Bandar Abbas was still 7 minutes away when the final helicopter cleared the island. The operational record was absolute. Iranian personnel losses totaled 82 across the coastal watch positions, facility perimeter, and tunnel interior. American forces reported 5 minor wounds with 0 fatalities. 73 prisoners were recovered, including the facility's senior naval intelligence officers and the complete analytical staff. The entire accumulated archive of Allied naval intelligence data collected over 16 months was extracted intact before destruction. Every processing system, every collection control unit, every communications link, and the complete hydrophone array network were permanently destroyed. Iran's ability to monitor Allied naval operations in the Strait of Hormuz had been eliminated completely, and the intelligence advantage they had exploited for 16 months had been erased in a single 33-minute operation.